welcome to Sugar the Nine News. I'm Lauren Davis.
I'm Bob Nightingale.
Today's top story, Russia has launched a satellite into outer space.
A big one.
Let's go to Slash McFadden in the field.
I'm Slash McFadden here in Russia, interviewing Comrade Punchki.
Aye!
And oh boy, the weather sure is coming down out here. Yes, indeed. Coming down in buckets.
I love snow. I love snow.
Comrade Punchki, why don't you tell us about the satellite that the Russians just launched into space?
Oh, we launched our satellite very big, 184 pounds. Yes, 184.
That's very big. Did you do anything else?
We had two satellites, Sputnik 2. Sputnik 2 was 1,120 pounds, and we had a little RR. You know the RR?
Dog?
Yeah, dog.
Dog in Sputnik 2. We're coming right here from Russia, I swear. Look at this scenery. Where can I be but Russia? It's not Bender's backyard.
We're in Russia.
Yes, Russia. All right. What about the Americans? We have
Stupid American. Runs a little grapefruit size satellite, only like 2.5 pounds. Let me show you. Come, let's show.
We're gonna go to a clip now of the American counter launchings. All right, I'm here with Comrade Punchki, and he's about to give us a demonstration on the size and usefulness of the different countries' satellites.
Aye.
All right, you may go ahead.
Look, an American satellite. Very small, tiny. We'll use orange for demonstration. Orange. Look at orange next to Mother Russia. It's a little tiny, very tiny. Look at Mother Russia, very big, oh so big, oh so big. Look, U.S. satellite in action. Stupid Americans! See?
Slash McFadden here in Russia. Sugar the 9 News. Back to you, Bob.
They won't notice.
Thanks. Thanks, Slash.
And in other news, Russia is blockading all supplies being sent to Allied troops in Berlin. Britain, France, and the United States are getting around this difficulty by sending their troops supplies by air.
For a very interesting demonstration, we're going to go to our very own Mark McTwiddles in the field.
Yes, thank you, Bob. I'm here in an undisclosed location for a demonstration on how the Allies are dropping off supplies to the troops in Berlin while still avoiding the Russian blockade. I provided a model to demonstrate how this is going to happen. Simply fascinating. Back to you.
And we're back. Thank you for the presentation. All right, boys and girls, now is the time, as we like to call Sarah Fletcher's Super Education Learn a Lot Hour thingy.
Sarah, special education learning thing. Cha-cha-cha.
Welcome to the show, Sarah. Thanks for having me.
Now, Sarah, I have a question. I'm wondering about current events these days, and if you were to define the conflict in what was happening in Russia these days, how would you do it?
Well, basically, the definition of the conflict is the United States and Russia competing to look like the strongest power. The building of weapons in space race can be looked on as a sort of silent threat to one another. Then there's the Berlin Airlift, where Russia tries to show its dominance by kicking out the Allied powers, which you were mentioning earlier.
So, if you were to, say, identify the position and policies of the United States and the USSR, and, including actions and reactions would just be lovely.
Well, the identification of the policies were exact opposites. The Soviet Union was trying to expand its sphere of influence to the rest of the Eastern European world, while the United States and FDR were following the Wilsonian policy against communism. This was the dream of an open world that was decolonized, demilitarized, and democratized. An action taken by the U.S. would be the Truman Doctrine, which followed a policy of containment against communism. The reaction? Well, that would obviously be Stalin's speech to his country, in which he discovered the expansion of communism and brought light to their disapproval of America.
So, Ms. Fletcher, if you were to identify the key players and their roles in this conflict, how would you do it?
Well, in the space race, the Republicans played a key role by blaming Truman and his administration for spending more on other programs than the missile program. They believed that keeping up with Russia's space technology was directly linked to the education of American students, which is why the National Defense and Education Act authorized $887 million to college students in grants for science. Then, in the Berlin conflict, Premier Nikita Khrushchev demanded that the U.S. evacuate Berlin in 6 months. Eisenhower, remembering the effects of the appeasement policy in World War II, decided to refuse to leave. As a result, they met at Camp David and reached a temporary agreement to extend the declaration to a longer period of time.
Thank you.
So, if you were to explain how the policy of containment played a role in the war, how would you answer?
I would say, as previously mentioned, the United States attempted to keep communism within its Russian borders. It's another power struggle represented by communism versus democracy.
Interesting. Now, explain how this conflict in general is related to the Cold War.
The Cold War was, in essence, parallel to the space race. In the space race, there was a competition for the greatest space technology, and in the Cold War, it was a race for the best military technology.
Well,
Thank you, Sarah.
thank you, Sarah. We'll see you next week for your next issue of Sarah's super smart learning section thingy show.
Sarah, special education thingy show next week. Cha cha cha.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Here we are for some of our credits. I was also Captain Punchki, Comrade Punchki. Oi!
I'm Lauren Mavis, and I was myself as an anchor woman.
Sarah Fletcher, as myself, as a political analysis.
Steve Margevich, Bob Nightingale, Slash McFadden, and Mark McTwiddles. Zoom.
And I'm Tom Meyer, and I did the editing.
This history film is dedicated to our history goddess, Linda Clark.